While the coronavirus can affect anyone, people who are immunocompromised have a higher chance of hospitalization and also landing at the ICU. Joining me now to talk more about the increased risks is Doris Hobbs. She is a well-known advocate for diabetes education. Doris, thank you so much for being here this afternoon. Now, research from the CDC shows that people with diabetes, chronic lung disease, and cardiovascular disease are particularly vulnerable here. You're diabetic. Does that worry you?
Yes, definitely. I'm a type 1 diabetic. And one of my biggest worries as a diabetes advocate is trying to prevent type 2 diabetes from happening with the lockdown, because with us being locked down, we're not able to go to the gyms. We're not able to, do the activities to be preventative as we would if we were not locked down. So my main thing lately has been to basically push for, no new cases for type 2 diabetes to happen. Because type 1, we have our routine. We know what to do at this stage.
But talk a little bit about how that routine has changed given this outbreak.
Well, with this, it's basically it's been tricky, because it's when you're out in public. Before, it's like I would go to a restaurant and I would be, be able to test myself, or, even go like slip underneath the table, do my insulin pen. I wouldn't do that now. There's no way I would do that now, because of the fact that it's just, you have so much going on around you where it's just like, it's like, would you even do that in the restroom at this point? No, even out in public, even after this is all done and over with. So it's basically a new norm for us diabetics of being even more cautious of what we're doing when we're testing, when we have an exposed needle out. It's changed everything for us.
Now, talk more about your concerns when it comes to potential new cases of type 2 diabetes.
With type 2, it's basically like, it's like whenever you're not taking care of your health, not saying people aren't, but when you're on a lockdown, it gets very tricky. You can't go to the gym. You're, eating certain foods, and it's just the fact where fitness is basically, I'm huge on fitness. And so fitness for me has been a godsend with my diabetes. It's kept my numbers leveled. It's kept me, very zen in my own mindset about things. But when it comes to the type 2, we have to find ways to either be eating cleaner, eating less carbs, basically taking care of our bodies, and not just eating whatever we want to do because we're on lockdown. We need to basically find creative ways of doing some fitness. If it's taking an early morning walk, putting your mask on, doing a very early morning walk when there's nobody outside, then that's the way to do it. Just some cardio, even if it's 30 minutes, because that's the preventative part about this, because I just don't want us to come out of the coronavirus and have more type 2 diabetic people diagnosed with type 2 diabetes.
Yeah, exactly. That would just obviously compound this situation.
Yes.
For those who have other sort of diseases, like I mentioned, what is your advice to people who are in fact immunocompromised, especially given that we may be heading into a direction of easing some of the restrictions?
Well, I know we're easing some of these restrictions, but it's one of those things where we all have to keep our mindset kind of like a little bit behind, just a little bit, because we want to be cautious. Because when you have compromised health or an autoimmune disease, you always have to kind of step back and just observe everything. So it's a moment of observing things. It's not a moment of let's run out and just go do it all. It's like, no, I'm going to sit, personally for myself, I'm going to sit back and watch things and just be on the same cautious part of it, because we're still not out of this yet. I'm not trying to be negative, but we're still not out of this. Even when we do get released from lockdown, it's still a new norm for all of us. And we have to be very cautious about what we're doing and still be very preventative. And I think everybody needs, when the lockdown comes out, it's just going to be an eye-opening about, food choices and exercising and the things that we need to do to be preventative and keep our bodies lean and mean and clean.
Yeah, things that really all of us need to keep in mind as we hopefully near the end of this. Doris Hobbs, thanks so much for coming on and talking with us this afternoon. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.